this DIY, it's just to show you my past place settings, because place settings are fun. It's a way to take a generic holiday and turn it into something more fun. And last year I did not do place settings because I didn't think people cared. And my brother-in-law's like, I don't know where to sit. There's no place settings. I can't believe there's no place settings. What are we supposed to do? And I got razzed the entire day last year. So even though it's just a very small gathering this year, I'm still doing place settings, but it's going to be Christmas themed instead of Thanksgiving themed. So, okay. So these all range from super easy to make to store-bought only to difficult to make. And the first one I wanted to show you is super easy. It's place setting. It is just a card that is cut into a square, folded in half so it'll stand up on the table. I put a piece of orange paper cardstock on top, cut it with my cutter, put it on top, and then I found these little leaves at the store, pre-cut out leaves, and then I put one of those little raised up things. What do you call those? Yeah, see that? It's a little adhesive square. You don't have to have it raised up, but it was just to give a little depth, and that's all it was. Nothing inside, nothing on the back, just their name. Set this on the plate, and that was the place setting. I made one for every family member. I always keep them. I made one for every family member. Super easy. Literally took me, I think we had 15 people. That's our normal number is 15. I think we had 15 people, and it probably took me, I don't know, 45 minutes to do the entire thing. I did it while I was watching a movie. Super, super easy. I would say that difficulty level is probably a 2, and that is it. Next up is another super easy one. This was my favorite place settings. So this is just, again, cardstock that is cut, folded in half so that it'll sit on the plate. I put 2 stamps on, just ink and stamp. It's a leaf. And this was just extra stickers that I had, nothing fancy. And I took a piece of paper, cut it out in wiggly shape. And I put, let's see what turkey is sitting here. I printed that on my printer. And then I just cut it out in a wiggly shape and put it on. And then what I did is I got, who is this? Oh, this is my son. I got baby pictures of each guest that is coming to the home. And I didn't put a name inside. And people had the best time going from plate to plate, trying to figure out who was who and looking at the pictures and laughing hysterically. So this is my one son. And this was his. This one is my, this was my nephew. So this was his picture, and this is him over here. So that was my nephew. Let me see. I just have a couple pulled out here to show you. This is my other son. Oh, upside down. So that was his. That's my other son, Kyle. This one was my niece. And I think, and this one was my other son. Yeah, I'm not showing you mine. I grew up in the 70s. I was a hideous child. Hideous. But it was so much fun, you guys. And you'd be surprised how many pictures you have. But if you don't, like your in-laws, I didn't have baby pictures of my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, but I had pictures from when they were dating, because I've been with my husband for 32 years. So I had pictures of them when they were dating, because we were dating at the same time. So I just pulled out those pictures. They weren't baby pictures, but they were still hilariously funny pictures. Because 30 years ago, that was what? Late 70s, or the 80s. It was the 80s, which, I'm sorry, is the ugliest era in the world. That's ahead of the 70s. I think the 80s is the most hideous. That was velour. That was corduroy bell-bottom pants, and they weren't even long. They were like floods. That was Zips. Remember Zips? Weren't those the sneakers? And that was, oh my gosh, it was just and perms, home perms. I had huge curly hair. So that was a super fun one that I did. I did that for Christmas as well, because I do place settings for the Christmas table as well. Even though it's just my husband, myself, and our kids, it's still fun. So we did kind of the same thing, except it was a blue card, a light blue card, and it said, let's see which flake is sitting here. And then I put pictures of my kids, my husband, and myself in, and put those around the table. It was just another fun thing to do, kind of like a spin-off of the other place settings. but it's still it kind of makes it fun without costing any money, and makes people laugh and reminisce. And they loved those place settings on Thanksgiving. We talked about dating. We talked about things we did without the parents knowing. And my mother-in-law, I think she sat at the table like this the entire time, because we were spilling the beans on everything. Oh yeah, that one time when you guys went out of town, we had the biggest party at your house. Oh, it was so funny. We crashed a hole in the garage and fixed it before you got home. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And she was mortified. And we laughed and laughed and laughed. And my kids and their kids were all like big ears, just trying to hear everything that was going on. They were in their teens by that time, but it was funny. And it was just a fun way to add laughter to just a regular old dinner. Okay, next up is a little bit more difficult. These are paper pumpkins. And you can see it has a little, I made these years ago, so they're kind of flat. But they have everybody's name on it. See on top, and you take these green things and you just cut them with scissors down. You take a strip of green paper and you cut strips down, and then you curl it like you would ribbon. Here's another one that might be easier to see. You curl it like you do ribbon. And then you cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 strips of paper. If you guys want to make this one, I can put the measurements in the comments, but you cut 8 strips of paper, put the one end together and punch a hole in it, and then put a brad, just a regular brad on the inside. Do the same thing on the top. You're going to put all the tops together, punch a hole in it, put your leaf on, put your greens on, and put another brad on top. Make sure the name's written before you do it. And then you just kind of flatten it out, fan out your sides, and then you have this, fold your leaf, and you have this cute little place setting. And I made yellow, and I made red, and I made orange. So I had 3 different kinds of paper pumpkins, and each one went on the plate. Again, it's just a little bit more involved, but still relatively easy to do. You're just cutting. There's really no glue. It's just brads, cutting, and construction paper. Well, don't use construction paper. It's not as sturdy. Use cardstock. You can find that anywhere now. Crap, I think they have it at the dollar store now. So you can find cardstock anywhere, but that's what you want to use. And the leaves, I just cut out freehand. I didn't even use a stamp or anything. I just cut that out freehand and put that on top. So those were the pumpkin place settings that I made. This one is a little more advanced. Okay, I got this off Pinterest, and it's really hard to make these when everybody's head size is different. But these are those funny little pilgrims you see on Pinterest. Isn't that funny? So you take a picture, you cut your kids' heads out, you glue them on, and then I didn't even have glue. I taped them. I didn't have glue when I did this. So you put them around, you tape them, you put a little pilgrim hat on top, taped right on top, and then you set that on the plate. Again, it was another funny thing. Like, look at this one. His head is huge, but that's my youngest. And then, of course, me, because I'm always posing. That was mine. It was just silly, but they looked really cute on the plate. Little pilgrims on a plate. I didn't use any directions. I just looked at the picture and kind of guessed at the shapes. I mean, it was relatively easy. The pilgrim hat, that was white marker that I just scribbled across. So I didn't go crazy making these like Martha Stewart place settings. They were meant to be rustic. They were meant to be fast. And I did that a couple years ago. And it was just another fun way to look at old pictures, guess where you were sitting, and make conversation as we're waiting for the dinner to be made. Okay, and those are the place settings that I have. I think I've done like random ones like twine tied around napkins with a name on it. I don't have any examples of those because those are super easy. But I've done the little mini pumpkins and wrote their name right on the pumpkin. I've done different super simple ones, but these were the crafted ones that I wanted to show you. Now, since I am decorating for Christmas prior to Thanksgiving, I'm going to do a Christmas themed place setting this year. Now, these are a couple of my Christmas place settings that I've used before. I don't make a lot of place settings. I made the one, did you ever see the train made with the lifesavers? I've made that one before. I found it was a complete waste of money, a complete waste of time because nobody wanted to eat them and they just got left on the table. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. So I only did that the one time, made something out of candy. If your kids are younger, they might appreciate that more. The one year I did get red Solo cups and put booze in them. I think I did that last year, actually. I took red Solo cups. Those were permanent red Solo cups. I put booze in them. You could buy the little mini bottles of liquor at the liquor store. I think they're like 3 for $1 or something, ridiculously cheap. And I put a couple in the cup, and then I put their name sticking out with a stick. That was by far the most successful place setting I ever did. Just because my kids, they're older, they drink, they're in their 20s and 30s. So yeah, that was the best place setting I did. But the one year I did retro gifts. And this was another fun one because my kids had not seen a lot of these gifts. And this one, I just have a couple examples. I get these from Craynax. This is a local store, but they sell them at Cracker Barrel, retro toys. And this is a nose flute. I don't even know why you'd want that. But yeah, it was one of the retro gifts. I actually wrapped them. I wrote a name on each gift, and I kind of tailored it to people. Like my husband got this when I did it because he snores. So I thought it would be better. It was funny because he's an awful snorer, and they thought that would be funny. So that was one of the gifts. This was the one I got. I got one of these birds that go into the water, however that works. It goes into the water and then goes back and forth. So this was mine. He's a dusty mess because my husband has it in his collection. But again, it was just retro toys that were wrapped up in just plain old tissue paper. I put their name on it, set it at each plate. That way they knew where they were sitting, and they got a quirky, funny gift that would spark conversation, because that's kind of what I want to do, spark conversation as people first sit down. So we're not just eating, we're eating and talking and reminiscing and having a lot of fun. One year I did Christmas ornaments. I'm deciding whether or not to do that this year. See, I can go a little bit crazy when it's just me, my husband, and my boys. But yeah, I made ornaments one year. This is an easy ornament to make. Literally took no time, no skill whatsoever. You could buy these little chalkboards at any craft store, Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, whatever it is. They come in packages, so you're not just buying one at a time. I think there's like 2 or 4 in a pack. And then this little tree I bought, already made, already painted. I just glued that on the side, took a white magic marker and wrote blank days till Christmas. And then they got this in a piece of chalk, and it was just a little ornament to hang on their tree. And that's what they got for their place setting. A little bit more difficult ornament to make was a stocking. Now I bought these stockings. They were just plain wood on the back, and you just drill a hole in, you put wire in so you can hang it on, curl the ends. See how it's curled? You just curl the ends. I just wrap it around a pencil. And then, well, you paint it first. I painted everything first, got these wooden little stars. See how they're wooden? Painted that, wrote joy on it, got a bell, glued the ribbon on, and then that was another place setting. So I've done ornaments. I make ornaments every year, and they're all on my tree back there, but this was my favorite ornament. So that's why I was showing you that one today. So those kind of give you some ideas of what you can do. I'm thinking this year's ornament, after it's done being made, I might do that again, since it's going to be decorated for Christmas, even though it's Thanksgiving. But place settings and centerpieces are where you can absolutely go crazy. I have no idea what I'm doing with my centerpiece yet, because I want to incorporate Thanksgiving and Christmas all into one. So I'm deciding what to do with that yet. But I think what I am leaning towards, because I have not made it yet, is a display that has pumpkins and pine cones. And I'm going to paint the pine cones so that they're a color that both resembles fall and Christmas, which is probably going to be a little tricky, but I'm thinking like this red, a green that might be this color, and then another green that might be a little bit lighter. And that'll just tie in the 2 seasons together just a bit. So that's kind of what I'm leaning at now, something easy. I don't go all out for centerpieces just because that's where the gravy goes, and that's where the butter goes, and that's where the rolls go. We usually eat buffet, take our food over, but we have all the seasonings and things on the table. So I like my display to be really small. Stay ahead, guys. Do as much as you can now so you have less to do later. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Take care. Happy holiday planning. Bye.